Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your Smackdown post show. It is Friday, September 12th, and what a wild news of WWE we've had today. We're going to talk about all of it and more. I did about an hour-long stream on TikTok talking about all of the news that we found out from the Saudi Arabia Wrestlemania 43 announcement that took place earlier today. WWE on YouTube announcing that that was the case. Saudi Arabia actually beating them to it a little bit. Their main representative of all of this with a Snapchat video a couple days ago. But Fightful Select has all of the information that you could possibly need. Tons of details there. I'm sure plenty more to come. This is a huge development, and we're going to talk all about it. But before we do, get in your super chats, get in your humper chats at humperchats.com. We already have some love for you. Look at this. We got Corey Michaels in there. We had Corey Brennan telling me to be a brat to you, but I said no, not until we get through the stream at least, and I'll pass all those messages along. But
Corey's always trying to find some way to be chaotic. It's crazy about him.
So the thing is, like, yes, he is, but I'm also the same menace. And with him, I actually feel like I started it. So it's that part's on me. Like, I take full responsibility for that. But we love Corey Brennan. We're happy to have you here.
Always.
I'll let you introduce yourself and then just get your overall thoughts on the news about Saudi Arabia today.
Of course, my name is Rami. I am the lead news writer for bodyslam.net. I also cover on Fansided's LA Sports Hub, the Los Angeles Dodgers, Lakers, and Rams, anything of the local sports here in the West Coast. And I've been writing Body Slam about since 2022. I got brought in there by a good friend of mine, a good friend of yours as well, Jameis Mooney. Ever since then, I've written news, I've written mixed martial arts, editorials, wrestling news. I've done interviews with wrestlers like Hyen, Ryan Clancy, Austin Luke, Royce Isaacs. So many great people, hoping to do more, and I'm just very excited and thankful for this opportunity to be here, to be able to talk with you about SmackDown, especially about this chaotic day, chaotic week, and chaotic episode that we had just witnessed. And with WrestleMania, they got beat to the punch by, like, I think a day or two. Of course, on Snapchat of all places, announcing that WrestleMania would be in Saudi Arabia in 2027. I, of course, understand that they wanted to do it again in Vegas. It's understandable. But for us to be able to see a WrestleMania go out of the United States, not in Canada, not even in London, where everyone's been pressuring WWE, we need this. John Cena has said it. Triple H has even quote unquote said, like, touted, like, we need this. We need to see WrestleMania in Wembley Stadium. And it's not, once again, it's not happening now. WrestleMania goes to Saudi Arabia in 2027. I don't know how to feel necessarily about it because there's so much controversy whenever they do go around these places, whenever they do go to Saudi Arabia, because we're all vocal. We're all very vocal about the things that we see, that how they restrict others, how they don't treat everyone equally as kind as they're supposed to. And it's just gotten to a point where WWE is just like, we don't care. We're just gonna go and do these events, whether it's Crown Jewel, whether it's King or Queen of the Ring, Night of Champions, any of these events we're gonna go do in Saudi Arabia. And now they have done this bidding war for certain events, whether it's John Cena's last match, whether it's WrestleMania, whether it's SummerSlam. Anyone who gets the big $1 billion, bid on that, it's gonna immediately go there. I'm not a big fan of that. I personally feel like fan satisfaction should be something that we should be eyeing towards, looking towards, because there's so many fans especially in Europe, who stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning to be able to watch SmackDown of all shows, especially with the recent, the last couple of months that we've seen Monday Night Raw, NXT with Booker T's commentary. You see all of this stuff that comes together, and these fans are so dedicated, they're loyal to it. No matter the company, no matter the promotion, they're gonna go and watch it. G1 Climax, they'll watch it. You got a Friday Night SmackDown episode, they'll watch it. Wrestling fans are wrestling fans for a reason, but I definitely don't think that me waking up at 9 in the morning in April of 2027 is going to be something I'm looking forward to watch a Saudi Arabia produced event for WrestleMania, especially when I would love for them to go back to Canada. I would love for all my Canadian friends to go and see WrestleMania for their own eyes. I would love to see London get it. There's so many different places that you can go to, and they're not doing that. And yeah, that's my thoughts.
I think you bring up a good point, and I'm very glad to have you on because you talked about the perspective of European fans, and that was something that I saw a lot of on our TikTok stream earlier today. There were a few things that were reemerging themes from this. The first one was, and this is purely a mea culpa. I don't speak for anybody else at Fightful. I don't speak for any other wrestling fan, but it seems to me with the consistent trend of corporate moves from WWE, they care about the bottom line and nothing else. Between the way the ticket prices have been hiked, moves like this, and to your point, we also have seen the escalation from essentially glorified house shows to things with more meaning, right? Like Royal Rumble, now WrestleMania. So I just that's been a big recurring theme is they are in it for the money and nothing else, right? Like they are operating leaner than they have, and they are trying to widen the gap between their profits and that. I'm not making a judgment on it. I don't like it as a fan because that's not in fan service. And guess what? I'm a fan, right? But that's their business approach right now. I also think it could bite them in the butt a little bit. So there are certain things that are getting people burned out on this, right? They're now paying for ESPN. WrestleMania is a big people's every year their vacation is around it kind of thing, right? And now a lot of people that's a bridge too far. Where to your point, even with Europe, like I'm in the New Jersey, New York area, I can get to Ireland and London faster than I can get to LA. So other than customs and passports, that's not that much worse than that, right? That's still accessible, whereas Saudi Arabia is not. And then there's a whole host of human rights violations and things like that people are taking objection to that I've spoken to at length on this. And a lot of people are saying the Saudi Arabia people deserve it. And I don't argue that. But I do argue the idea that WWE is doing this for the Saudi Arabian people, because if they cared that much about them, they would do it without taking this enormous paycheck directly from the government, and a government that oppresses its own citizens that way. I'm not saying that's exclusive to Saudi Arabia. I'm certainly not saying that America is absolutely crushing it at human rights right now, but I am saying what I see, right? So there are complexities there. And for the European fans, I so understand the perspective of we pay so much money, we show up so hard for these events. Like the takeaway from all the shows that are in Europe are how great the European crowds are, because WWE, quite frankly, under delivers a lot of times that they're in Europe on the actual shows that they're presenting. So for them to not get the first out of US EMEA, whatever you want to call it, show, I certainly understand the frustrations there. I certainly understand the frustrations. And I think people don't necessarily have a perspective on, if you're an American fan, you view it as like WWE is the powerhouse and AEW is the scrappy underdog runner-up. There are parts of Europe and parts of the world that AEW is the leader in the clubhouse, and people just don't realize that. And I think that gap in Europe is a lot closer than people realize. That like there's a lot of, I mean, AEW wouldn't be running a 70,000 person stadium multiple times, right? if that was the case.
Completely right.
So I think when you're talking about fan service, it's very easy for American fans to say in their market where prices are high, where they're not getting a show that they've historically gotten every year, except for I think WrestleMania might have been in Toronto twice, but again, that's a shorter drive for me than going down south is for where I am. So I do feel like we also have to keep in mind while they're on this global run, what fan service in these different markets mean. So let's get to some super chats that we have coming in. Greg Cherrybrand saying, hope yins have a great show. Hi, Rami. I hope you have fun tonight. And Kate, a pleasure to see you on my screen as always. Well, thank you, Greg Cherry.
Thank you so much.
Considering the last thing you saw me on screen for was a Freddie Got Fingered review that went for 3.5 hours last night, I appreciate you showing up for the versatile array of content that we offer here at Fightful. But Bad Robot saying, hello, favorite post show. I'm sorry Tom Green broke your vision, Kate. I wish TKO would pretend it's not all about profits occasionally. It's really killed my interest. Just post shows now. Thanks. I'm hearing more of that than I have been, of ESPN being the final straw for some people, this being the final straw for some people, not from people that are tribalistic, from fans who are like, I'm just exhausted by it all. Like, I'm exhausted. People morally dealing with the Brock Lesnar return situation with this. And then people financially just saying inflation's real high and I can't afford this on some levels. So you are starting to see fan fatigue. I also, in the Northeast of the US, was so bummed to hear that the MSG house show for around Christmas time is going away too, which has been a long-standing tradition. Last I saw,
That's
we
actually
didn't.
insane.
Yeah, we didn't report that. I think it was WrestleVote, so that is not like from Fightful. I don't know if we've confirmed it yet. I'm just not sure. So, but if that is the case, that's such a bummer. Like, that's been such a staple of WWE for such a long time. So, it is certainly frustrating. Let us know in the chat how you're feeling about this. And I
I
will
did want to
say,
mention one thing
sure.
is that like how you mentioned about prices. I live in, of course, Los Angeles. I live in the high desert. When it comes to like an AEW event in Anaheim or so, it's only like about 20 minutes, 30 minutes away, and it's a very affordable, nice ticket. Whereas WWE events, as of late, ever since the TKO purchase, if I wanted to go to like Staples Center, now known as Crypto.com, or go to Anaheim, go to any of these events, or go to Wrestlemania in Vegas, which is only an hour and a half drive, the tickets costing over $1,000 no matter where you sit, I feel is like a big like what the fuck? Like, not sorry to cuss, but like it's
No,
just
that's
so
okay.
it's so essentially wild because they're saying, oh, we cater to the wrestling fan. This is what every wrestling fan wants. I, would love it, in the future to take my kid to a wrestling event, but it's this fact that when it comes to taking, a family member or a friend or even anybody that you know to a wrestling event for the year, it costs 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, $15,000 for front row seats and for an event to end the way that it does essentially end. We're just like, really? I paid $15,000 to see as you said, glorified house show. There's so much better that we can do with our money. And then whenever we, bring up and praise AEW shows for having some really good matches, having a really good match card from A to Z, it feels like, of course, we're shat on because we have opened our eyes to alternatives as they want us to be. They want us to be an alternative. They want us to be able to say, hey, if you didn't like this product, you're gonna surely enjoy this one. And that's what's the good thing about wrestling, but it's also the bad thing about the products and partnerships like this, where there's so much money when you're supposed to be catering to the fan satisfaction, the fan service, not to their pockets only.
The other aspect of that too is, like, we've seen these counter programming efforts. The idea of that is, well, if we can run AEW out of business, we don't have to pay our wrestlers as much. Anybody that thinks it's some sort of flex just because they could try and run someone out, but it's so that they're the only game in town, so that they can control the prices because AEW is offering competitive contracts. So when you see like all these chess moves being played financially, whether you argue that it's good business or not, it's certainly not in the spirit of a booming pro wrestling industry, which is what we have. I am intrigued because, one, I think if they try and counter program and AEW is just doing fine anyway, they look really stupid. They look really bad. And the other aspect of this is, like, it's so funny to me every time that they go out of their way to call AEW the minor leagues for a few reasons. One, I think if the New York Yankees did that to the AA Binghamton Rumble Ponies, the sports industry would be laughing at them. That would be a joke. The other thing with that is, I don't know if you know this, but as a baseball fan, minor league games rule because they're accessible, they're cheaper, they're easy to get in and out of. The promotional stuff is all fun and integrated. It's not about big time names and contracts. There are so many advantages to being the minor leagues. And I really hope that AEW and anybody else who gets called that by WWE leans into that, because there are tremendous advantages of paying $30 for a ticket instead, and being able to find parking that doesn't cost you arms and legs, and being into the spirit of what's going on instead of like just how overdone things can be. So I I don't know, man. As a minor league baseball fan, I'm like, I would run with that if I'm AEW. Being the minor leagues is a great position to be in. So, but
And what a crazy poll you just made right now with the names, of course. Like anyone who hears that, they're like, "Oh, what team is that?" That
I
shows that
grew
that's
up
true
there.
dedication. That's true dedication right there. Just keep that in the back of your head.
Fun fact, I grew up and worked for the Binghamton Mets, who are now the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. So that's a very easy pull for me because I also worked for AA baseball. I didn't get to
That's
be
wonderful.
in any of the races, but I did get to do the like inside a giant Zorb ball thing on the field, which was pretty fun. But I was a ticket office gal. But
That's
let's get
amazing.
into this episode of SmackDown. Anthony Velasquez saying, I have some thoughts. Good matches, though. Only 3 matches on a 2-hour show is not great. And WTF was that opening segment. 15 minutes wasted. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. And also just like my kingdom for a non-DQ finisher interference thing with a major TV match on the line. But Orion Ben saying, watching track and field championship, so I'll catch this later. Welcome to the family, Bangs. This is for your sacrifices and our entertainment. Enjoy all. Well, thank you so much. Orion Ben, another one that I believe was showing up for that ridiculous Freddie Got Fingered review. Executive produced by Sean Ross Sapp. So let's dive into this because we do have a lot to talk about outside of Cody Rhodes, including Brock Lesnar's butt being on TV for everybody to see, and Cody Rhodes returning to the product. Not full butt. This is not what I experienced yesterday, wherein Freddie Got Fingered, Rip Torn's bare butt is shown about 3/4 of the way through this movie for way too long. But this is a hilarious thing that happens as we have Brock Lesnar's pants tearing while he gives an F5 to R-Truth. Things get kicked off with Brock in the ring, but before he can even talk, R-Truth is wrapping his way down. He introduces himself as Ron Cena, claiming that John Cena is his older brother. The crowd's running away with it, and this ends as all Brock segments do, with an F5, but this one splits Brock's pants, which he, to his credit, laughs off before leaving. Here's my deal with this, and I'm interested about your thoughts. R-Truth had so much momentum when he became Ron Killings, right? We got this incredibly powerful segment. Then he was doing a couple weeks of R-Truth stuff, and then it felt like, oh, he's doing this to goat people into major matches, and then he's going to show up as Ron Killings when he gets that major match. Like, there were a couple promos that felt like maybe this was a split personality thing. That seems to have gone out the window, or this is taking way too long because we just get full back to R-Truth again. I've seen this segment so many times, and I'm tired of it. Brock Lesnar, not looking great. Pretty winded after one F5, buddy. Like, that ain't the Brock Lesnar I know. This is what it is. This is 2 50-year-olds, okay? One who they lost the momentum of, and one who they brought back to F5 him, I guess. And I just am so bored by this. And I like, anytime I see a segment like this, I weep for the future. Because I'm like, you have Julius Creed on your roster right now, who is kind of like, from an in-ring strength standpoint and the way he moves, a young Brock Lesnar, a young Shelton Benjamin, that freak athlete. And he's playing like number 5 Grande Americano. Like, he is the chorus extra, and I feel like he should be a main centerpiece. And I would like to see them, instead of putting a bunch of 50-year-olds in the ring, start to think about the future talent here. R-Truth is the guy that they're going to have play this role. Brock Lesnar is going to do the same thing Brock Lesnar always does. I have no interest in this Brock Lesnar return at all, for both the horrendous morality reasons surrounding it, but also the fact that even if none of that was in the picture, I don't care about this guy. I'm tired. I started watching in 2009. I didn't really care about his comeback then. I understood what the freak athlete he was, but at the same time, I don't see any future stars in the men's division that they are sinking their time into other than Brock Lesnar. So this segment did absolutely nothing for me. I can't say it was bad from the perspective that I think both wrestlers accomplished what they wanted to accomplish it for. But like, everybody's talking about Brock's pants being split because it's hilarious. And of course, this is how this segment went. Like, of course it was. What did you think?
That episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob rips his pants was the song. Big Larry came around. Brock Lesnar turned into a clown. I was like, this is the funniest thing in the world. Um, I thought the entire segment was, of course, like just a big waste of time. Like 15 minutes of him coming out, the crowd chanting "You suck." Ron comes out, and like you said, a few months ago or so, he chopped his hair off. He was going like schizo. This was like a big moment for him. We were like, okay, he signed this, contract. We're gonna get something out of him. They put him with Aleister Black. He's still trying to be funny. They pair him with Damian Priest. He's of course just being funny. I get that he's a funny guy. I get that completely. But your whole story and the whole character and the whole push, it felt, was that this is a different, R-Truth that we've seen. This is no longer R-Truth. This ain't Ron Cena. This ain't the my childhood hero, my older brother. None of that stuff. This is about like fucking shit up and making everybody pay for not wanting me here. I thought that was the case. And then as soon as Cena turns face, all of a sudden it feels like even in the process to getting Cena turning face, we just lost the whole plot. Like there's no writing on the walls. It's just like they're throwing paint all over the place and just saying, "Hey, we're making art," when it's really nothing. It just looks like ketchup splats. And on top of that, Brock Lesnar coming back and looking completely winded, gassed out, not whatsoever good. Like 7 years ago, nobody wanted him here. 8 years ago, no one wanted him here, especially during the time where every single couple of months we kept seeing Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns constantly. And then we got it again during the COVID time. We were like, okay, now it has to be done. It even came to a point where they had to tip a ring over with a goddamn bulldozer. And we were like, okay, it's done here. He's completely gone out of the picture. And they're still recycling old stories because they're like, hey, Cena, we know that you're on a retirement tour, and we have an incredible roster. AJ Styles, we got Randy that you just faced, Punk that you just faced, all these guys. But we're not gonna have you face anybody that you should be facing. We're gonna be wasting one of your last moments in the ring with somebody who you have a storied rivalry with. Which he has a storied rivalry with so many people. They're not there, or they're not in the storyline. AJ's not getting a match. Edge is an AEW. It's like there's so many things he's had to pull out of his sleeve for Cena to be able to, of course, keep the fans intact, keep the fans watching. But then when we get a match like this, I feel like it doesn't add for anybody. I'm not gonna look forward to it next week. They say it's the big main event, and all due respect to that, I feel like the big main event should go to a match that's a returning, a big star, power couples, the one that everyone's really truly tuning in for. If you put that as a co-main event, then what's the whole point of, hey, AJ Lee just came back, but hey, we'll just have Brock Lesnar for all the wrong reasons main event this event because it's John Cena's retirement match. That doesn't help me. That doesn't help any of the fans. That doesn't help a lot of people unless you're a tribalist who just has no remorse, no feelings, no emotions whatsoever, and all your comments are used up as useless spam. It says on Twitter, like you'll open it up and it'll just show all like the stupid comments. That's what those people are looking forward to. That's not me. My brain cells are still all there and everything. So for me, I thought that this segment was just a waste. We're not getting the Ron killings that we thought we were. I think we're gonna have to wait until he's released from WWE. And like I'm not wishing for anybody to get released whatsoever. But it feels like the only way we can get people to truly have their own story, own arc, own like little campaign in themselves is by not being with the World Wrestling Federation. But like other than that, it was funny. I thought the memes about Brock Lesnar's pants ripping was hilarious. I'm glad he mentioned to the camera that he was wearing underwear because nobody wants to see incognito mode whatsoever. So glad that all moved out of the way and that we were able to, of course, get into a match finally because wrestling should start with matches. I don't think it should start with so much yapping.
No, I'm the same way. When AEW used to like always open with a high energy tag match, that was a 4K era. They still do open with wrestling sometimes, but it's not like a rule like it used to be. I'm a big like start with the action kind of gal, but this was a complete waste of 15 minutes. While I'm saying Ron Killings no longer is driving. Also, Brock was so gassed it tore his pants, ripped the fattest one. So I gotta say, like, what we've seen from Brock is him getting winded after 3 F5s and him getting winded after 1 F5. This match is not that far away. So I'm also not looking forward to it from that perspective. I agree with you about the AJ Lee return as well. Not to mention that's with 3 other main event talent in CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Becky Lynch. I saw someone earlier say that WWE doesn't give a crap about the young stars at all. I have been beating this drum for a long time because people might get pissy about this, but I can't. This isn't intended to be snotty in any way. It's a genuine question of what stars has Triple H made on the men's side other than Braun Breaker.
Can't really name any. Carmelo Hayes is doing nothing except for Mello Don't Miz, and it feels like a gaslighting story already. It's like I completely get. Like, man, just move on. Come on.
It's beyond me. And even on the women's side, you could argue that like the positioning is better there, right? You have Steph Vaquer, but like this Julia US title reign has been a disaster up until the past couple weeks. Jordan Grace is in NXT for some reason. Io Sky has had breakout moments, but her reign after WrestleMania wasn't one. So I just don't think, like, as in case you've been living under a rock, as hot as the WWE product is right now, I'm like, well, why? Because of nostalgia acts that somebody else built? What about the future of your company? Who other than Braun Breaker is on a track to carry this company forward? They were talking about, Alex Plasky and I were cracking up. At Clash in Paris, they were talking about Bronson Reed like he was this rookie upstart because he was 37 and he was the youngest guy on the card other than Logan Paul. Like, the younger generation is just being forgotten about in all this. So when I see something like we'll talk about at the end of the night with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, of course it's going to be a great match. They're great wrestlers. But when I think about the best ways to use certain stars and I think about the like highest amount of value that you can get from people, at some point they got to stop with this. Like, at some point they got to think about future talent, because otherwise, I don't know, they'll either just leave or waste away. But all that to say, these two 50-year-olds kicked off the night. All right. Let's keep rocking and rolling and get into this U.S. title picture. Backstage, we've got Sami Zayn confirming his U.S. title open challenge. Sami Zayn has never done anything wrong in his whole life. I love him so much. He's like a top baby face in my head, in my heart, and the industry. Tonight's challenger, we find out, is Rey Fenix. And Solo Sikoa also delivers kind of this dark promo about the sacrifices that he made for the title, vowing to get it back. And then we go into our match here between Sami and Rey, which, you know, you got to wonder what would happen if a guy like Rey Fenix crossed paths with a luchador that reminded you of Sami Zayn, like an El Generico. It made me curious. It makes me curious. But we have a very, very good match here. Rey Fenix is once just crickets out, probably because of the bad theme, probably because of the booking hasn't been there. He has way more wins than it feels like he has. I checked his cage match one time and I was like, oh no, he has some W's under his belt. They just aren't of any importance, so it doesn't feel that way. But this match is a perfectly good use of an open title challenge. This was probably the wrestling highlight of the night as far as matches go for me. Phoenix with his aerial arsenal with all of this, and Sami doesn't often get to be like the heavier offense in a lot of situations. So I like that we got like Sami getting to be kind of like the hard hitting guy, because we don't get a ton of that. But Sami hits the haluva kick and retains. This went about 16 minutes. This was a really good TV match, and it just goes to show you like why Sami Zayn is so good. I don't think this goes anywhere, but it's an open challenge title defense and it serves a character arc, and that's just fine by me. How did you feel about this?
You're completely right about that. It's just like how John Cena used to run back in the day, the U.S. Open Challenge, give all these stars a big shot at going against them. They of course tease later on in the night with Carmelo Hayes, but when we see a match like this, Ray Fenix against, of course, Sami Zayn, two guys who have never crossed paths until now, going in there and just showing off. Like this truly felt like the opener that you need and a main event that you'll love. And Sami Zayn, with or without a championship, always goes out there and kicks ass, whether he's having his underdog type of arsenal or whether he's like, as you said, a big, heavy hitter favorite that everyone feels, oh, this is gonna be his opportunity to once again, keep doing what he's doing. But what I love the most about this is that there was so many moments in the match where Ray could have won. Ray could have won so many opportunities in there, countering the Blue Thunder Bomb, countering the Haluva kick, doing the double stomp on the top rope. But he was all over the place in the most beautiful way, and it truly showed the fan. Of course, it showed the fans once again from Ray's side that I'm a great wrestler. Of course, it's you're always gonna be right behind me. The fan base is always gonna be booming. But right now, it doesn't know how to feel right now. It doesn't know if the fan base can get up a little bit more because next week he'll be back in tag team action, and then the week after that he'll be in solo action. But we don't really know where he's going, whether rather it's getting wins or earning a shot for a championship match. He earned this opportunity, but now that he lost it, now it's what happens next. Do you go back for the tag team championship with the Wyatt Six? Do you go after do you go after any other type of rivalry? It really doesn't know that what happens next. Sami Zayn though, very very happy for him. Of course, of opportunities like this, I'm very happy for him to get, whether it's winning a United States Championship to complete so many chapters in his career, or whether it's going against somebody he has never fought before, or someone that he's fought for long, long nights. All last year, all he had to do was face Drew McIntyre, and every single time he was losing, 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 just every single week. I got to a point where I was like, are they ever gonna do anything with him? He's such an amazing wrestler that he main evented WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Won the tag team championships, and then the following year he beats Gunther, and we're like, they got to do something big with this guy, and then it doesn't go anywhere. I'm really hoping that whoever is back there writing anything, whoever has like a strong voice, please, for the love of God, for anything that you love in life, book Sami Zayn to win the Royal Rumble. I'm tired of this. Win the Royal Rumble, even though I know the area, of course, is going to be a certain area. I would rather he win, go to WrestleMania next year in Vegas and do exactly what his best friend Jey Uso did. If Jey Uso could do it against Gunther, Sami already did it. He could beat Gunther. He could beat Seth. He could beat Punk. There's so many types of opponents that he can go in there and beat. And I think that Sami Zayn, as United States champion, is just leveraging him each and every match. He fought John Cena. He fought Ray. In opportunities where it ended in no contest, it ended in a big win. But I know that at the end of the day, it should be an opportunity to prosper him up more and more to get him to that World Heavyweight Championship opportunity so he can finally complete it and become a Grand Slam champion.
I have a couple of things about this. Like I was really on the train of Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble and wins the title. I feel like now with AJ being back, that probably switches to CM Punk. That's just like the energy I feel of the story shifting. I also have kind of an issue with this
Which
in
isn't
that
bad.
it's not bad. I would prefer it be Sami, but
Yeah.
because Sami has kind of proven Seth Rollins right. Seth was like, "You're never going to win a world title. Get out of here." And Sami said, "Okay." And then he went and won a mid-card title. So I don't know if I love that for Sami Zayn. I love Sami Zayn as a fighting champion. I think he's one of the best baby faces ever in all of wrestling in the whole wide world. It's like that guy always has my heart invested in matches, to the point where people that are like Hangman did nothing wrong. Sami Zayn has never done anything wrong in his life, as far as I'm concerned.
And it makes you more like bringing up the WrestleMania match, him and Kevin win the tag titles. I just remember sitting there with tears in my eyes in the beginning of the match. Already tears in my eyes. I'm like, this is gonna be a roller coaster. And then when he hit the final Luva kick and got the pinfall, I was like, this is what WrestleMania is all made out of. The dreams, the stories, the whole spectacle of it, bringing everybody together for moments like that. Not garbage. So give us moments like that.
Give us moments like that instead of Travis Scott. walking down a ramp for 45 minutes. But guys, we're gonna keep this going. You know what we didn't mention was that Booker T and Vic Joseph were on commentary today.
Yes, yes.
And if
Um,
you watched NXT, sure sounded like he said he was out there popping dick. And we just so have a sponsor that can help you out with that, because sometimes you're not always popping dick. Sometimes you need to pop a pill that will help you out.
You know, spring has sprung, but maybe your penis hasn't. Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL is going to fix that. Whether you're in the mood or you're trying to get in the mood, Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL has you covered. Same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. You know they work. But it comes to you discreetly. You're not going to have everybody at the pharmacy or the doctor's office be like, what's he getting? Because somebody else is getting a little something once you use Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL. You meet with an online physician, and if approved, it arrives straight to your door discreetly. And how about this? How about free? You just pay $5 shipping. That's it. Pay $5 shipping. And you're going to have that performance, that main event performance, that confidence. It's not just for people with a problem performing sexually. It's for that confidence, that main event. Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL.
I don't know why we played the Way throwback version. That was a vintage Blue Chew ad. We have newer ones that are like much more highly produced, but I clicked the wrong one with how they're categorized, and I gotta say,
that was great.
a passionate SRS performance from way back in 2023, I
This,
think, 2022.
the way that get it
how I
up
was
there, like
watching Freddie got fingered, how I was shaking my fist at Sean yesterday. I can't stress enough, guys. Like, the journey of the Freddie got fingered review is just so absolutely insane to me, because you would think the craziest part of this whole thing would be that we watched Freddie got fingered, but no, it's not. It's that we are bartering custom puppets for ourselves, and that our original quote was $1,000 a piece to review this trash. And Sean needed us to review it so bad. He got us custom puppets that in total, not each, but in total are over $1,000, and they're coming from Bulgaria, and I hope they arrive. But the fact that Sean was that invested in, how can I turn that down? But upon having seen the movie, I felt like $1,000 a piece was a fair amount to quote, because that crap was awful. But we had so much fun talking about it. We talked about it for way too long. If you haven't checked it out and you're into extremely silly reviews, Sean pops in with plenty of props. We talked about Backwards Man. We talked about Daddy, would you like some sausages? We talked about hooves. There's so much that we talked about because it was like 3.5 hours. So there you go.
I'm
Go
so
check that
scared
out.
to watch this. I'm so scared to ever actually try to watch this movie. Freddie got fingered. I'm like,
Don't do it. There's no reason.
it,
Let me tell you, your life will not be made any better by having watched this movie. It's like in Billy Madison, where that guy does the whole speech about like everyone is now dumber for having. That's what this movie was. And as a vegan, by the way, it was terrible to watch. As someone that's an animal rights guy, oh my God, the amount of grotesque things that happen with animals in Freddie Got Fingered. I was watching like this. It's terrible. See, Pieces has it right. I'll never accept a movie recommendation from SRS in my life. Here's what's tricky with SRS movie recommendations. Let's shoot on SRS and his movie taste, okay? Sean likes good movies, but he also likes terrible movies, and he assigns equal weight to how much he likes both of those categories of things. So, like, if you ask him, I'm sure if you ask Sean if he likes Shawshank Redemption, he'd be like, oh, that's a great movie. If you ask him if he likes Hot Rod, he'd be like, oh, that's a great movie.
yeah,
So there's no...
That's a great movie, Hot Rod. That's a phenomenal movie.
That's what led us to this Freddie Got Fingered review, was we had to review Hot Rod. So I will say, like, it's not that he doesn't like good movies. He does. He just doesn't have discerning taste in which. So that's the SRS movie issue. You're just playing roulette with the recommendation of movies from that guy. And he does have a soft spot for like the like late 90s, early 2000s era, especially like the R-rated comedy. So that's like the SRS wheelhouse. I think that guy deals with so much wrestling. He's just excited for something stupid to watch at the end of the day. But
Have you ever seen the movie Employee of the Month?
Oh, of course, yeah.
That
was
phenomenal. Like my favorite thing to quote is the "Who's an all" scene. Every single time that I get a chance to, I see a picture with like anyone draws like a dick. I'm like, oh, who's an all? And they're like, it's anal, dumbass. Anal, you do? Like, it's the funniest scene ever in that movie, and the movie's so stupid as it is that once you get there, like it's a '82 Honda. How dare you? Every time I see an '82 Honda, I immediately runs in my head like, that's an '82 Honda, guys. How dare you disrespect it? Like, so any bad early 2000s, late 90s comedy R-rated movie, like that'll be on my list on Letterboxd.
So we have this chat from Volub that says, how much do I have to pay for a Birdemic shock and terror review? Is this from the same people that made Velocipaster? Because I heard they'd made like follow-ups, but I don't know if it's the same guys. If it's the Velocipaster people, that shit was hilarious. I will watch that any day of the week. That movie is so funny and a satire on itself. And I did review the first one with Alex on a different network. It's not. Okay, well, you know what? Because it worked last time, our quote is $1,000 a piece. And we will take bargains. We will start negotiating there. That's where we started with Freddie Got Fingered. So that's where we're starting with Birdemic. Let's
get your money's worth.
That's it. Our rates went up. We all are traumatized from sitting through Freddie Got Fingered. So it's going to cost you a lot to start having custom orders of movies that we should watch. The whole idea was that on FightfulSelect.com, the best $5.99 in the biz, we were like, oh, we'll review bad movies that wrestlers are in, or weird movies that wrestlers are in, or in Dave Bautista's case, movies that he's great in, but most of the surrounding parts aren't great. We did review Birdemic. Okay, I thought we did, but I was like, am I thinking of Velocipaster? We reviewed a lot of really dumb movies. But then Sean went into business for himself, and we had to review Hot Rod. So that's that. I can't remember Birdemic all that well. See, I got really good at repressing stuff from my memory. Alex and I have watched a lot of dumb movies together. We did, Alex and I did reviews every week of bad, weird, strange, fun, silly movies on the Know Your News network. So you can watch those for free, but they were all in that vein. Birdemic, Velocipaster. Every Halloween, he'd watch something that's actually scary, and I would watch something stupid because I can't handle horror movies. We had a good time. But let's get back to some Smackdown over here. We get this Julia, B-Fab, and Mi-Chin segment, and I didn't know that anybody that wasn't Mi-Chin was allowed near the Women's US title, so glad to see that for B-Fab, even though it's a connection to Mi-Chin. But Julia is set to face B-Fab, but that match was never going to happen. Julia lays out B-Fab with a knee strike, only for Mi-Chin to rush in with a kendo stick, sparking a stare down. This is more of an angle than a match. If it's a rematch for Mi-Chin, I'm going to throw my computer out the window because quite literally, the only talent to be involved in the U.S. title picture since this belt were created are Chelsea Green, Zelina Vega, a one-off with Sol Ruka, Mi-Chin, and Julia. Zero others. So whatever this mid-card belt was supposed to do to elevate the roster, it has clearly not done. If B-Fab gets a match out of it, that's good. I'm glad they remember Julia has a belt. So that's neat. Because she was just not defending anywhere. She didn't even get to defend on Evolution, which is ludicrous to me. She's way too good of a wrestler to not be wrestling on TV regularly. I am sick of the advertised match that didn't happen trope. Knock that off. I'm sick of shows getting planned during shows as if GMs just planned nothing for 2 hours and they're making matches on the fly. So many of these bad Vince era tropes have returned. It is really frustrating. What do you think? Are we leading to yet another Michin US title match, or do you think BFAB actually gets a rep out of this?
Oh, we're gonna get another Michin title match. And
No!
and the worst part is it's that like you said, she's been involved in this so many times. No matter who holds the championship, Michin is right there to get a championship opportunity. And I really don't understand like the whole push for it. Like she's great. She earned her opportunity. She lost. Move on to the next opponent. For of course, WWE has one of the best wrestling divisions, whether it's the main roster, NXT, all sorts. But it's the fact that they don't let that women's division actually thrive and survive. Where I didn't see Charlotte or Alexa that much tonight. Of course, I didn't think you even saw them tonight at all. Like your tag team champions, the ones who are supposed to be defending the titles this upcoming week, not featured on TV and not even featured on anything in matches. I would love to see Alexa versus Julia. I would love to see Julia against Charlotte to see how that would probably fare out. Because it's new eyes, new opportunities, new matches, especially when you have someone like Julia, who they touted so much. She signed with NXT. They gave her that big, massive feud. They made her lose. They made her win. They win the championship, and then she lost it. Feuded. Went to the main roster on Raw. Teamed with Roxanne. That didn't go anywhere. Goes to SmackDown. Wins the championship, and now has a manager with her, even though she still does a lot of the talking. So it's like I feel like it's just Kiana James just writing out like contacts and saying, okay, she's blocked. Like Michin blocked. BFAB's contact blocked. Like anyone who gets in contact and calls gets blocked immediately. So I don't understand. I like you mentioned, evolution. Julia wasn't planned for there. Wasn't mentioned whatsoever. They have this incredible women's division. There's even the women's wrestlers right now fighting on Worlds Collide, and all this that's happening, and they still don't know what to do with them. But for them to book, of course, CM Punk and Seth Rollins in a 3-year feud, they're like, hey guys, we have so many different match types we can bring in. You want to do steel cage? Click. You want to do a big WrestleMania match? Click. Big power couple tag team match? Click it. Like it's just, I wish they would have the same love and feel that they do for the men, for the women's side, and open up new challenges. Like you said, Jordan Grace is still stuck at NXT. There's so many women in NXT that if they get called up, automatically people are pushing for them to win the women's championship, the United States championship, the Intercontinental championship, any of them. And it's being resorted to the same challenger over and over again. It's like you're washing the same dish over and over. You're already done with the dishes. Go and make yourself a goddamn cake. You can't make yourself a cake because you're just too focused on the goddamn dishes. So it's like, what am I supposed to do here? I feel like it's just bipolar booking. It's bipolar just situations, and I don't know how it goes from here. Next week we're gonna get like I can mention Michin against Julia, then BFAB gets involved, and then it's gonna just resort in a triple threat. Like I really don't know. And they're not even booked for WrestlePalooza. This big WrestlePalooza WrestleMania event, and not all the champions are booked, but 4 or 5 matches, they'll be like, yeah, and that's for 5 hours, pal. Like so. I
to
really
your
don't
point
know,
too,
man.
like what is Candice LeRae doing in an NXT speed tournament instead of being built for a story here? She's taking bumps from like 400 stories in the air for her husband. Like, I don't understand why we don't prioritize this. I don't understand why I have to watch Natalya pal around with Maxine Dupree in a sparkly cowboy hat instead of get to be Shooter Natty Neidhart going after titles and standing on business. I don't get it. And it's just a lack of care. It's just a lack of care. And to your point, it's very frustrating. You also mentioned that you think Michin Mia Yim is a great wrestler. I think that too. It's not that I don't want to see her in matches. I don't want her to be a loser every time she wrestles a damn match for the same title.
She's 0-11, I believe, for the championship. So it's like, why do you keep
God.
going back? Like
it's insane.
In any other sport, imagine the Buffalo Bills go to the Super Bowl 11 years in a row and they lose every single time. It happened before. They lost 4 years in a row. Then they never went back to the Super Bowl again. This is what's going on here, but we're getting on a week by week basis.
Or more than that, what if they went 0-11 and somehow still went to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like she keeps getting these title shots. And if you didn't watch NXT, you would not know that Kiana James is a damn good wrestler. Like, I watched NXT. I saw the crap that she was given and what she did with it. And I always thought in the ring she was really interesting. She has some really cool combinations of like being hard hitting but moving really quick around the ring. Like, I really like Kiana James. Having her lose in 7 seconds as a pass to get to Julia to then just lose anyway is some straight up nonsense. Gunay Death too saying watching AAA but wanted to show some love. Well, thank you for the love. The women's tag and US cards overlap too much due to a lack of women on SmackDown. They've got the deepest roster. They love to tell us about how they have the best women's division in all of wrestling, especially on NXT. They love to tell us that. But it's not like they don't have the pieces. That's what's so infuriating about it. What is Ivy Nile doing with her time? Like, I would love, the brand split doesn't mean anything. Let's be real. Like, Ivy Nile could show up tomorrow and be a shooter. Like, I don't understand why everything is so recycled just to go out of their way to make Michin look bad. It's very weird. She does great work. Let her win some stuff. This is stupid. Let's move on to the women's title match that we kind of do get here. Tiffany Stratton defending against Jade Cargill. A lot of big power moves in this, as you would expect. Some big dives. You get the spot with Tiffany hitting a swanton and Jade landing a spear through the barricade, which was good. Tiffany seems to bring the best out of Jade in a lot of ways. I feel like her best matches on the main roster have been with Tiffany. I actually feel like their first match was like the best match that Jade had, maybe in her entire WWE run, maybe her career. She has had some continued inconsistencies. She has never failed to blow you away with her strength and presence and the things that are unrepeatable about her, which help that a lot. This, of course, ends with Nia Jax. You cannot be surprised anymore. You just can't.
You can't.
This ends in this double count out because Nia Jax comes in and of course makes her presence felt, taking out both of them. Crowd doesn't care. We're headed to a triple threat. This is the same paint by number stuff that we get week over week over week. I can't get excited about a big TV match for a title anymore because I know how it's going to end before the match is even announced. Like, and we've seen Tiffany versus Jade. We've seen Tiffany versus Nia to death. The same issues that we were talking about with the US title, we have in the world title. And I think it's holding Tiffany Stratton back in a lot of ways because there's nothing new for her to do here. I am a big believer in recycling, as I think you should care about the environment, but not like this, not your wrestling storylines. But I do think that the chemistry between Tiffany and Jade is good. And I appreciate that Tiffany in her young age and career kind of knows how to be a ring general for Jade in some ways. Like you can see her kind of guiding things along in certain ways. She knows how to work with Jade's pacing really well. I'm really impressed by what Tiffany's able to bring to the table in that regard, because that's stuff that is like some veterans don't get as well as Tiffany gets with someone like Jade. So I applaud her for that. What were your thoughts on this?
I like the match. Of course, those two bring the best out of each other whenever they're in there. It's usually a strong, slow action, but whenever they do collide with each other, it's beautiful, especially the apron spot where Tiffany goes for the low drop kick, just stomps out Jade Cargill on the apron. Same with the Swanton that you mentioned. I was a little bit nervous about that because of how far she went, that she just landed her head right on Jade's belly, and I was like, oh, that's gonna give you a stomachache right there. But then we get the moment where she goes for the turnbuckle, the pod, gets her shoulder almost separated. Tiffany goes for the moonsault. That was a very scary moonsault as well. Like she goes off the whiplash out of it. She hits the back of her head. It looks, I don't know if she actually was bleeding or not, but at the end of the segment, it looked like her hair had some red in it. I don't know if that was a mix of her gear or some sort, but it did look a little bit dangerous. Then you introduce Nia back into the situation. And Tiffany cashed in her Money in the Bank on Nia. they settled the feud, as we thought. Tiffany and Charlotte have their feud, and post WrestleMania happens, and all of a sudden we get it back to Tiffany and Nia. And then they settle it in the last woman standing match, and we're like, that's it, it's done with. And because I'm guessing because they have Julia in the picture for the women's United States Championship, that she's not going for the world title. But if she wasn't champion, I feel like the perfect match that you could have booked for WrestlePalooza would have been Julia and Tiffany. Get the championship off of Tiffany, and then allow for Julia to become champion heading into this new chapter, end of the year, heading into the new year before WrestleMania season arrives. Because there's so many ways that you can have Tiffany, keep the championship and continue on her reign. But the roster is growing day in and day out, whether it's NXT's developmental, whether it's NXT on TV, or whether it's what we see from the growing stars like Lyra Valkyria as well on the women's roster for Monday Night Raw. We saw her become Intercontinental Champion, then it went to Becky Lynch. Now we're seeing a situation where the title went from Chelsea to Zelina to Julia. Now they're wondering, oh, who takes the title off of Julia? Or are they going to wait until Jordan comes up, have a big open challenge, beat Julia for the title, and then that's how it positions for Julia to go for Tiffany's championship? I don't understand the way that they run things here, because Nia's had so many opportunities, as we said, Mi Shin has, and she's lost all those opportunities. Jade already said, this is going to be an opportunity where I beat you. It ends in a double count out. You lost your opportunity, pal. It ends up being that situation, you know what I mean? But for either man, that was a double count out in our eyes, and usually the past eyes, we move on to the situation, we go on to the next challenger. That's not what's gonna happen here. We're gonna get a triple threat, I'm guessing, at WrestlePalooza, and then of course they're gonna look fantastic. They're gonna look good, but then it's about what happens afterwards. Do we see Tiffany and Jade again in a SmackDown main event? Now this time they're gonna say last woman standing or Iron Woman stipulation, when you could be holding that for pay-per-views, and you could be holding that for different opportunities for different women. And as you mentioned, Candice LeRae, she took a huge bump off the damn ladder through another ladder, scary as hell. And I'm thinking but that's her. That's PWG Candice LeRae. She took thumbtacks to the face, busted wide open, craziest motherfucker in the game. But then you have her doing 3-minute matches in NXT because they're like, oh, we don't know where to put her. Candice versus Tiffany could have been a great match. Nia gets overshadowed by Candice. You have a big moment from there, and it builds up more eyes on the product. But it feels like every week we're just getting the same recycled products, and it's not going to end up anywhere until they tell us, hey guys, now we did it. See, you just have to wait and see. It's not really about waiting and seeing. You get me? It's usually they capitalize on the moment at that moment and they say, see, this was months in the making, but it really wasn't months in the making. They just did it because the fan satisfaction went to a complete down drop.
I've talked about this ad nauseum, that there's a difference between long-term storytelling and dragged out storytelling, and they have lost the plot on WWE about that, what that means. I feel like pretty much across the board, and this is certainly one of those circumstances. But Anthony Velasquez saying, why is Stratton stuck in this Jade and Nia vortex? Is very repetitive rather than she faced someone other than these two over and over again. That's everywhere on this show, man. That's everywhere on the show. It's rough how much stuff just goes on too long. We're going to talk about Damian Priest and Aleister Black in a minute. That feels like it's a long train ride to nowhere. Seth and Punk has been going on for 100 years, even though that got reinvigorated. It's been going on for a long time. There's too many things that is the case on WWE programming, but we've been talking about WrestlePalooza, and we've been talking about how everything costs too damn much, but there are ways around it, my friends. And that's with NordVPN.com. Quite honestly, there's never been a time better to have a VPN in general as a wrestling fan, and NordVPN is the best one in the whole wide world, and we're going to let Sean Ross Sapp tell you all about why.
If you're a wrestling fan and you're frustrated with all the services you need to watch all the different wrestling shows, Fightful has your solution with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Change your virtual location with just one click, and you'll be able to watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and PLEs on one Netflix account. You'll also be able to get a lot of pay-per-views at a much more affordable price than you do here in the United States. This is a must-have for wrestling fans. That way you don't have to have 7 different accounts to watch all of the shows that you want to watch. In addition to that, they have a great 30-day money-back guarantee and an incredible deal right now going on. But that's far from it. You can protect yourself on their VPN service, the fastest in the world, shield your data from snoops and criminals, protect yourselves on public Wi-Fi, and it's available on all your devices and operating systems. NordVPN.com/Fightful.
NordVPN, we don't even do them justice with how much they provide, because in addition to being able to set your locations and time travel to other places, or just travel in general to other places, and save a whole bunch of money that way, there are so many things that they provide you with. Password protection, securing your internet, saving you money. But they've got a password manager that's I just started using not that long ago, honestly. It's great. It's great. So check out all of the bonus features. That's all on like the basic tier too, everything that Sean mentioned. So there are plenty of upgrades, but you will save so much money, quite frankly. Like it will pay for itself in the year subscription with what you save on AEW pay-per-views if you buy them. It's just worth it. I also just have login fatigue, to be honest. So the fact that I can just be like, I'm in Canada and everything that WWE does is on my Netflix account for the most part is a beautiful setup for me. So strongly recommend it. We are in a cord cutting time for TV distribution and cord cutting cost savings time as well. But let's keep moving along here. We get Chelsea Green angling for a tag title shot with Nick Aldis, which was a pretty good thing. But Miz tries to rope Carmelo into his scheming, and Uncle Howdy is lurking in the background. We also get a video package recapping John Cena and Brock Lesnar's rivalry. Gee, wonder why they were doing that. So there's some just additional progress on the show. Any thoughts on any of this? It's pretty straightforward stuff, but if you had any thoughts.
I was very upset that they didn't mention that key moment between John Cena and Brock Lesnar back in 2003, where John Cena says, "There's no way you got a concussion. Brock, to get a concussion, you need a brain."
A brain.
Chill. If I was like, please, they're gonna actually mention that moment, please, and they skipped over. I was like, this is bullshit. This is dumb. I don't care anymore. Like, that's all I wanted. This one little moment, and that was just that you need a brain.
A brain.
That's all I wanted, man.
Maybe he'll bring it back. Maybe
next Friday.
Andrew Brown asks, do we think the TKO group is an illegal monopoly? Well, no, because AEW exists, so that's not the case there. I think they would love to be. I think they were the only, I don't want to say the only game in town, because it's not like New Japan didn't exist or Impact was running or whatever, but they were the only like consistent major game in town for a long time. And I think it's a pain in the butt for them that AEW has an existence, and they would love for them to not be in business. I don't think that will be the case. Even people freaking out about TV rights deals, I'm like, you guys know Tony Khan's a billionaire and he could just start a TV station if he wanted, right? Like, this is fine. Like, if Paramount buys Warner, things will be figured out.
He has all these friends with NFL. He's not gonna go in and be like, hey guys, I got an idea. Like, they're all a bunch of billionaires. They're gonna understand what they gotta do.
I think people underestimate how much you can just throw money at stuff and make problems disappear. If anybody wants to help me do that, they can cash at me and Venmo me. I have some problems that it would be nice if they went away and your money would help. So just forget super chats. Send me money. No, I'm just kidding. Send in your super chats. Send in your helper chats. Another plug for FightfulSelect.com. We obviously had a huge report earlier today on everything that we know with this WWE Saudi Arabia Wrestlemania announcement. There's a lot of highlights there. I'm not going to give you everything. That would defeat the point of having a paywall, but I did a very long TikTok live on it. We talked about certain aspects of it, like the fact that Saudi Arabia wanted WWE Wrestlemania. They didn't want a co-branded event. They didn't want WrestleMania the sequel, which was something that they were talking about doing. Well, what if we did 2 WrestleManias? No, they said we want WrestleMania. There's information back there about wrestlers not getting bonuses for going to Saudi Arabia anymore, which is something that had previously happened. So many details on FightfulSelect.com about that for you. The initial report went up a couple days ago. A lot more details have been updated since the announcement, and Sean's just quite frankly learned more. Plenty of other information on there too. The unfortunate injury to Wardlow, changing some world title picture feud stuff that has escalated Kyle Fletcher up the flagpole unexpectedly. That was going to be a big moment for Wardlow coming back from injury to face Hangman. That guy just having the absolute worst luck. So I hope he's all right, our American gladiator Wardlow. But lots of stuff on FightfulSelect.com for you. Head over there for the most information first. Let's keep talking about this stuff. Let's talk about our main event, which saw a Cody Rhodes return. You had Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. But the big thing here is that Cody Rhodes comes back for Drew McIntyre as he and Randy Orton are having some very dramatic soap opera moments at the end of this match. Is he going to punt him? Is he not? Is he going to Claymore him? Is he not? There's a lot of breathing room that we have in this. There's a lot of this whole thing started with Jelly Roll, which makes this very weird to say now. But the going into it, it was just the most dangerous letters in wrestling are RKO, and Drew McIntyre saying the most dangerous syllables in wrestling are Drew McIntyre. I would love for any of these guys to be elevating young talent instead. Drew seems like a reasonable first title defense for Cody, though. Is it his first proper title? At least proper feud.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's
proper
title
defense because he got taken off TV, of course, by Drew McIntyre, and then now he just came back tonight.
I gotta say, like, they have some work to do because Cody Rhodes just doesn't feel like an important champion right now, and that's not his fault. He went away to film a movie as part of it, but like, so much is happening with Cena and Lesnar, AJ Lee returning. Like, Cody just feels kind of like an afterthought right now. I don't know if a feud with Drew is the thing that's going to make this feel important again with everything going on. I'd said a while ago, there's like this thing where it feels like they kind of just don't fully trust Cody Rhodes. Cause like there was no need to bring Brock Lesnar back. You know what I mean? There was no need to have like the John Cena heel turn hang over his entire angle. Like I don't understand what it is. And I could be completely misguided in that because they just don't. He's obviously selling extremely well. He's obviously super over with live crowds, etc. But I just feel like they keep going out of their way to make him feel like he's not the most important thing in the company, where they could just let him be the most important thing in the company. But I'm excited for Drew and Cody matches. I just feel like someone with any title belt has to be making young stars. Like somebody with any title belt. Seth, Sami, I guess probably could in this open challenge angle, but I wouldn't call Ray Phoenix a young star. I would call him in purgatory until he reunites with his brother at some point. You know, like I just feel like we're not Dominic Mysterio's IC title run. I don't know what the hell this has been. Like I don't think it's done any good. We're all just sitting around waiting for drama from the Judgment Day. So I don't feel like these titles are being used effectively, but I'm not mad about a Cody Drew program, especially when it's inevitable that Cody's going to win. Like, you're always going to win that opening defense, like most of the time. So having it against someone as high of a caliber as Drew McIntyre, as good of a wrestler as Drew McIntyre, I'm not mad about that. I'm just, the drum that I am beating now is what are we doing with the young talent that are supposed to carry this stuff that are under the age of, say, 37? Like our young Bronson Reed over there. What are your thoughts on what we got in our main event, which was, of course, a very good match, and Cody Rhodes' return, as well as this Drew McIntyre program that seems to be emerging out of it?
I like Drew McIntyre, of course. Like who doesn't like Drew McIntyre? He speaks the truth. He's a great wrestler. There's so many things about him that just like radiates star power, main event talent. He carried the company during the COVID year. and it was very bad times. Of course, what we had to watch every single week from Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, but he was there to make sure that these were, a little bit entertaining, just just for the most part. He has had, he beat Brock Lesnar for the World Championship. He beat Randy Orton for the World Championship. He goes into this very bloody, heated feud with CM Punk, and then now he's in a situation where he's feuding with Randy Orton. Just got done with that tonight, even though I didn't understand the necessary point in the referee trying to stop Randy from punting Drew's head off. Like, you see this happen every time. Nobody's really able to stop the guy when he does this, and then let's have this moment stop, turn around, and they get Claymore. Felt like the referee was in Drew McIntyre's pocket, but who knows? Maybe he's got a little bit of a Fightful Select, subscription right there. But it's more so, I think, about the fact that, you know what I mean? It's more so the fact that Cody Rhodes does feel like an afterthought. You brought it back in AJ Lee. She's massive. She's huge. And this big tag team match, everyone's been wanting to see ever since the CM Punk and Seth Rollins started feuding. Automatically, when Seth Rollins turned heel at WrestleMania, we thought to ourselves, okay, when's Becky into the picture? Then when they introduced Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, we're like, okay, when's Becky entering the picture? And if that's the point, if that's the case, then when is AJ Lee going to come back around? She finally comes back around. We get this big match for next weekend. Should be the main event. It's not, because they brought back Brock Lesnar to fight John Cena in a match that you didn't need to have happen. And then now it's just a situation where Cody's finally back, filming a movie, doing so many things with his life and personal life, and then coming back to fight Drew McIntyre. What happens after that? Because I feel like, in my opinion, I would have Carmelo Hayes be a face and the first thing, or even have a match with Cody Rhodes at in October for the Perth show. That would be a huge showing. Let him show to Miz, I can do this. I can be the one to beat him for the championship. This is my opportunity. I don't care however you book it, because we all know Carmelo Hayes is not going to win the championship at that given point. You have Cody Rhodes retain it, a Miz betrayal, whatever the fuck. But as long as you allow Carmelo Hayes to be in a picture where he's facing Cody Rhodes, he's facing Randy Orton, he maybe beats Randy, he fights Cody, he loses, he fights The Miz, ends that feud once and for all. They're making him reunite with Trick Williams. They're making him go against DIY for his NXT Homecoming show. It feels like they don't know what to necessarily do with guys like Carmelo Hayes. These guys that are very young, these guys that have been at NXT, and then now they're being told, oh, how are you going to win the United States Championship? You couldn't do it. That's the hardest championship to win. Carmelo Hayes won the NXT Championship twice. He won the North American Championship. He won so many big matches in NXT. He fought so many of the very goods. He beat Solo Sikoa before. Like, he's had so many opportunities where he's done great things. And for WWE to be like, or even Miz to be like, yeah, you can't do it, pal. You can never beat Sami Zayn. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities where, like, beating Sami Zayn can happen, especially in a situation where you're still elevating younger talent and anybody can come in there and sweep him right off his feet. I don't understand this. I don't understand the main event, and I don't understand how we're going to get into next weekend with Cody versus Drew. That's over with. What does Cody do next? Because if you're not, Randy's still a face. He's not turning heel. WrestleMania season is not that far away. We're inching closer to the end of the year. October is next month. We got some spooky season. November for everybody to
Survivor
eat all
Series.
this turkey. So, the Survivor Series. We got December coming up and everything. It's like, it's Saturday Night Main Event show. Like, it feels like they're premium live events, the big shows, ESPN, Peacock, Netflix, wherever, Twitch, anywhere you want to go. They have this subscription where you got to pay for it. You got to watch these events, and these are can't and miss shows. And then we get can't and miss shows, I guess, in some ways. And then it goes on to next Friday or next Monday, and then they don't know what to do with the story. So it's just every week they don't know what to do with the story.
Yeah, even like when you look at the big 2-night PLEs, when you look at Mania and you look at SummerSlam, they were both set up to have mostly forgettable night ones, much better night twos with a major thing happening at the end of it, right? So I get that that's the direction they're going, but it is making the weekly TV a slog to get through. And to your point about Carmelo, like he came back to NXT and he felt more important there in one promo under HBK's creative than he has the entire time he's been on the main roster. I would love to see that program because I think a lot of people forget that Carmelo Hayes, his first match on the main roster was against Cody Rhodes because he was the #1 draft pick that episode. And I think Cody saying like, how's that turned out for you? You won a lot of gold since you were named the #1 draft pick. Maybe he gets him away from the Miz. I think there's ways that you could do something really productive with that. I agree with you. I don't know if this is just going to be set up to make Drew and Randy fight more. We'll see, I guess. But I'm with you. I'm with you on what you said, and I am with you guys for this is now. Let's see. This is an hour and 15 minutes. Yesterday we did 3:37, so this is like hour almost 5 of you guys dealing with me Thursday and Friday night. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, talking about SmackDown, talking about the Saudi Arabia news. Last plug for Fightful Select. Head over there for the best $5.99 in the biz. While we were talking about this, Alex Pulowski was back there doing a Sour Graps review for you guys. I think if he's still in the chat, he can confirm that for me. But he usually is. But if not, I know he'll be there on Monday because I will be there on Monday with him. So we have our Sour Graps Raw review back there. There are bonus podcasts back there all the time. There's not going to be a Collision review tomorrow. We have a lot of hosts out and it's a pre-taped episode, but we will be back the week after that. Cresta is going to be gone for a bit, but SP3 is filling in on that Collision post show. So you have that to look forward to. You also have WrestlePalooza and All Out coming up. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. Before we get out of here, Rami, where can people find you?
You can find me on my socials on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Who Else But Rami. And yeah, I post my thoughts, my opinions on there about all sorts of things: music, wrestling, sports, whatever. I have a current fantasy pick'em for football called the Baba Booey Pigskin Club. My friends and I were all in it. Baba Booey has been some weird thing that I've like, you know what? I love that word so much. I'm gonna start using Baba Booey every chance I get.
Let's
So
do
it's
it.
always been perfect. Exactly. So and I love it so much. Wyatt 6 just came out during the Worlds Collide show, so I'm very, very confused right now. They just came out to attack Psycho Clown and his partner, so I'm just very confused as to what's going on right now. But no, yes, that's where you can all find me, Who Else But Rami. I really, really do appreciate being on here tonight. I was looking forward to it all day. I was like, this is gonna be just so much fun. I've always wanted to chat with you, Kate, and just to be able to, get this opportunity to be able to talk about SmackDown, about WrestleMania, about so many things that are gonna be happening. It's just so much fun, and I cannot wait if I do get another opportunity to come back on.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Alex saying there was not a chance that he was reviewing tonight's SmackDown after the news that broke. Here's the thing with the Saudi Arabia shows. Normally, we do this fun little format where I explain to Alex what happened and I plant lies because he doesn't feel comfortable watching the Saudi Arabia shows for his moral compass. I am void of all morality, so I watch these things. But we have this fun format, but it requires a lot of effort on my part to plant the lies to try and swerve Alex. Am I now going to have to do that for 2 nights of a WrestleMania? We're going to find out, I guess. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com for all the details that you could ever want on this Saudi Arabia WrestleMania announcement. There's so many up there already. They will continue, I'm sure. But plenty more on Fightful Select. Have a safe and wonderful wrestling weekend. We'll see you next week.